Gradual decline over decades? A slow, gentle slide into irrelevance? That's not how empires vanish. They fall suddenly, violently, and the people living through it often don't see it coming, until it's too late. In 410 AD, Rome was still the eternal city, undefeated for 8 centuries. 3 days later, flames licked its temples, Visigoths looted its streets, and citizens fled with whatever they could carry. An empire that had ruled half the known world was dying in real time. The Romans couldn't believe it. In June 1940, France celebrated its military might. The Maginot Line, impregnable. By month's end, German tanks rolled through Paris. The government fled and France surrendered. 4 weeks, from superpower to puppet state. Same pattern repeated in December 1991. Mikhail Gorbachev was president of a nuclear-armed superpower. By December 26th, the Soviet Union didn't exist. Just 900 days from the Berlin Wall to total dissolution. Nobody anticipated it would happen so fast. 3 empires, 3 collapses, each faster than the last. And here's what should alarm you. Collapse doesn't wait for your expectations. It hits suddenly, violently, and by the time citizens realize it, it's already over. This is the story of what imperial collapse looks like. Not decades of decline, but the final sudden end, the 6 phases of collapse. And why every warning sign suggests America is approaching that moment faster than most want to admit. Before exploring the phases, understand why collapse can happen so quickly. Empires don't survive on resources alone. They survive on confidence. Confidence in currency, military, governance, and tomorrow itself. That confidence is fragile. When it breaks, everything breaks. Think of it as a dam, cracks for years. Engineers notice but deem it manageable. The dam stands. People below it go about their lives, seeing it daily, assuming it will always hold. Then, one day, a crack widens, the pressure rises, and the entire structure fails. Not gradually, all at once. That's what imperial collapse is, a system that seems stable until it suddenly isn't. Debt, military overreach, currency debasement, social decay, all these are the pressures against the dam. When it fails, everything crashes simultaneously. Let's examine 3 empires at their collapse points in order. Understanding these moments is the only way to recognize what is happening. Let's first look at Rome, era of 410 AD. By the late 300s, Rome's decline was evident. Barbarian raids, weakened military, debased currency. Yet Rome itself seemed eternal, protected by gods and legacy. In 408, Alaric the Visigoth surrounded Rome, demanding gold, silver, and supplies. Rome paid, Alaric left. Crisis averted. In 409, Alaric returned. More demands. Rome paid again, but its treasury was nearly empty. On August 24, 410 AD, Visigoths entered Rome through betrayal. Slaves opened the gates. For 3 days they looted, temples stripped of gold, aristocrats ransomed or killed, citizens fleeing. Rome's fall wasn't military defeat. The legions were scattered, the city undefended. Once Rome's reputation for invincibility died, the empire followed. Collapse took 3 days. Shock lasted centuries. Next, let's look at France era of 1940. By 1939, war was expected. Germany was rearming. France had the Maginot Line and alliances. Confidence was high. On May 10, 1940, Germany invaded through Belgium and the Ardennes, terrain French commanders deemed impassable. Within a week, French defences crumbled, British forces trapped at Dunkirk. By June 10th, the French government fled Paris. June 14th, German troops entered without resistance. By June 22nd, France surrendered. 6 weeks from superpower to occupied territory. Citizens watched their world unravel, military ineffective, government absent, refugees everywhere, property and freedom imperiled. Collapse is a psychological shock as much as a physical one. Finally, let's look at the Soviet Union, era of 1991. By 1989, USSR problems were clear. Failing economy, restless Eastern Europe. Still a superpower with nuclear weapons and UN influence, collapse seemed impossible. November 9, 1989, Berlin Wall falls. Eastern Europe escapes Soviet control. Over the next year, Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania leave. Core Soviet republics hold for a moment. August 1991, hardline coup fails. Military refuses to fire on civilians. Boris Yeltsin rises as de facto leader. December 25, 1991, Gorbachev resigns. December 26, USSR ceases to exist. 900 days from Berlin. Wall to dissolution. Citizens' world ends. Currency worthless. Hyperinflation. Pensions gone. Factories closed. Crime surges. Phase 1. Denial. Everything is fine. That's always how it starts. In Rome, around 350 AD, the empire still looked powerful. Vast territories stretching from Britain to Egypt, more than 50 million people under Roman rule. But inside, the cracks were widening. Inflation eroded savings, tax burdens crushed farmers, and the once elite Roman legions were now filled with foreign mercenaries. Yet the emperors and senators pretended all was well. Gold coins were replaced with cheap copper. Bread and circus kept the crowds distracted. Rome is eternal, they said. In France after World War I, the same illusion played out. From 1919 to 1940, French leaders told their people they were safe. Behind the mighty Maginot Line, a fortress stretching 450 miles. But while France rested, Germany rearmed. The government was divided, the economy stagnant, and the army outdated. Still, they said, we won the Great War. No one will dare challenge us again. And in the Soviet Union of the 1970s, Moscow projected strength. Parades of tanks on Red Square, nuclear missiles, Olympic medals. But behind the facade, factories were rusting, food lines were growing, and the ruble was collapsing. The state borrowed from the future to fund the illusion of stability. The Soviet model is eternal, they said, even as it quietly decayed. Denial is the empire's comfort zone, the moment before the storm. Phase 2. The credibility break. At some point, the illusion shatters. For Rome, that moment came in 378 AD at the Battle of Adrianople. The Roman army, once the most feared force on earth, was annihilated by Gothic tribes. An entire Emperor Valens was killed in the field. It was more than a defeat. It was the day Rome's reputation died. Enemies realized the empire could bleed. For France, the break came in June 1940. In just 6 weeks, the German blitzkrieg bypassed the Maginot Line and crushed France's army. Paris fell without resistance. The nation that had shaped Europe for centuries was now humiliated under occupation. Allies lost faith. Colonies hesitated. The myth of French invincibility was gone. And for the Soviet Union, the credibility break came in the 1980s. The Afghanistan War, launched in 1979, became a 10-year bloodletting, their own Vietnam. Then came Chernobyl in 1986, an explosion that not only destroyed a nuclear plant, but also the Soviet regime US credibility. The state lied, citizens died, and the world saw through the facade. From that moment, people stopped believing. Once belief is gone, power is just paperwork. Phase 3 is the Cascade. Once credibility breaks, collapse accelerates. Fast. Rome's final cascade began with the sack of Rome in 410 AD. When Alaric and his Visigoths entered the city, the unthinkable happened. The eternal city fell. It sent shockwaves across the ancient world. Trade routes crumbled, armies deserted, and one province after another slipped away. By 476 AD, the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was overthrown. A 1,000-year empire was gone. France's cascade was even faster. Just 6 weeks in 1940. From the Ardennes to Paris, everything collapsed. The government fled south, the army disintegrated, and General Pétain signed surrender terms. One of Europe's greatest powers had fallen almost overnight. For the USSR, the cascade lasted roughly 900 days, from 1989 to 1991. The Berlin Wall fell. Eastern Europe broke free. One republic after another declared independence. By December 25, 1991, the Soviet flag was lowered from the Kremlin for the last time. 70 years of empire vanished. without a single shot in Moscow. Once the cascade begins, no empire can stop it. It's like gravity, pulling everything down at once. Phase 4 is fragmentation. When an empire collapses, it doesn't vanish instantly. It breaks into pieces. After the Western Roman Empire fell, the once united world of Rome fractured into provinces and petty kingdoms. Gaul, Hispania, Britannia, all gone their own way. Italy itself became a patchwork of city-states. The center could no longer hold. After 1940, France was split in two. Nazi-occupied France in the north and Vichy France in the south. Its colonies, Algeria, Indochina, West Africa, began to sense weakness. Within decades, they too would break away, ending 4 centuries of French empire. For the Soviet Union, fragmentation was dramatic. 15 republics, from Ukraine to Kazakhstan, all declared independence. The empire that once ruled 1/6 of the Earth's landmass now shrank to Russia alone. The hammer and sickle came down. New flags rose overnight. Fragmentation is the stage where the empire loses control, not just of land, but of narrative, identity, and purpose. Phase 5 is Freefall. This is the human cost, the part history books often skip. After Rome's fall in the 5th century, trade collapsed, cities emptied, and literacy vanished. For ordinary Romans, life expectancy dropped, food became scarce, and protection came not from emperors, but from local warlords. Civilization itself seemed to unravel. In France, 1940-1944, daily life was survival. Under Nazi occupation, food was rationed, industries seized, and collaboration or resistance became a daily choice. Inflation and hunger returned to Europe's heart. The proud republic was gone, replaced by fear. And in the post-Soviet 1990s, Russia endured one of the worst economic collapses in modern history. GDP fell by nearly 40%, inflation hit 2,000%, and life expectancy for men plunged below 60 years. Crime and corruption exploded. Ordinary people lost their savings, jobs, and faith in the future. Freefall isn't just economic collapse, it's psychological. It's when a people lose belief not only in their leaders, but in the system itself. Phase 6 is reset. But collapse isn't the end, it's transformation. Out of Rome's ashes rose medieval Europe, new kingdoms, a new church, and a new order. From chaos came the foundations of Western civilization. Out of France's humiliation came renewal. By 1944, liberation began. A new republic emerged, stronger, more centralized, and ready to rebuild. Within a generation, France was a founding member of the European Union. And from the ruins of the Soviet Union emerged a new world. 15 independent states, each finding its own identity. Russia itself was reborn, wounded, poorer but freer than before. That's the final stage and the reset. The empire dies, but life continues under new rules. Every empire believes it's eternal, right up until the moment it isn't. Rome saw itself as everlasting, France as unshakable, the Soviet Union as invincible. All of them collapsed, first slowly, then all at once. Is the United States now walking that same well-trodden historical path? America seems to be in denial. Our national debt has skyrocketed from $1 trillion in 1980 to nearly $35 trillion today. We operate 750 military bases across 80 countries, while our own infrastructure and national unity crumble. It's a feeling many of us have. A sense of decline we often try to escape through distraction. Much like late-stage Rome, we insist on our strength even as the very foundations of our society show cracks. History doesn't repeat, but it certainly rhymes. America is staring at its own reflection in the long river of time. The question isn't whether we're powerful, but whether we're wise.